Welcome to the desert of the real.
I don't see it, but
I want to segue just based on what you said into a question that I actually had for you.
Okay.
Do you feel that the problems that plague, I'm going to say community, or I should say our people, are they innate qualities or are they systematic?
You mean the
and
qualities?
let me explain what I mean by that. I noticed that a lot of the bootleg and Negro contingent put out a lot of videos, and the major theme in their videos seemed to be that black folks are just innately inferior. Like we're innately disorganized, innately just no good. That's the main major theme. And what I want to know is that what is that a genetic trait? Is that something that we just come out the womb disorganized, or is it a systematic problem? I want to get your answer first, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this after you answer it.
I think it's caused by the society. I think that we're influenced by the things we see and hear, on a daily basis, in whichever way we lean, whether it's the negative things or the positive things. I think we're influenced by our society, and if you're not, aware of it, you will subconsciously or unconsciously take on certain types of behaviors. You'll just start acting stuff out, without being conscious of it. I mean, I'm just going from a personal experience of, where I was caught up in a moment of the 70s I'm trying to think of not Sweetback. I'm talking about like the pimps and the drug dealers, the big time. I can't think of the movies right now, but I was really influenced by those movies as well as Iceberg Slim books.
Right.
I was really influenced by that. But
the Mac.
I had right, the Mac. I was like oohing and on about that because I thought, oh man, they really free, they this, they that. But then as I began to grow and really understand the detriment that was caused by this type of behavior, it helped me to rethink. But I think that being a thinking individual helps in the beginning. A person who always is trying to improve, because you look at the consequences of those behaviors, and you say to yourself, none of the consequences turn out to be good. You know what I'm saying? So you have to look at what you've internalized as being a cool way of life or a good way of life, and how that's affecting your life. And you ain't seeing nothing positive coming out of that, nothing but a whole lot of pain and a foretelling of jail time or grave time. You know what I'm saying? So it made me kind of backpedal and say, wait a minute, I don't think that's the right way that I should approach life. It may look slick on the screen, and the music, everything plays a part of the influence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have to develop, first of all, the analysis of self and how these things affect you. You got to know what affects you. You got to know your own proclivities. You know what I'm saying? You got to know yourself first, and understanding what drives you is I think key and very important as to be able to be in control of your own life. Now you can go to where you were going on it.
So your answer in short is it's systematic.
Yeah, I think it's systematic. Absolutely.
Okay. Now my second question is, if it is systematic and it's not some genetic or innate trait, shouldn't it be able to be solved in one generation?
You know what? I'm gonna say this. solving it in one generation, I think because we're talking about the number of people in a generation, right? And we're still getting back to a code of behavior and conduct that is not accepted by all people. So, it's hard because first of all, we still have various belief systems, and I think that's, in my opinion, it has not helped us to have some kind of concrete code in the first place because we're always at odds about whose belief, whose religion, or whose, back to the belief part, is the best. What's the best that works for you? It should work for everybody because it's working for us. Well, no, I don't. The belief doesn't work like that, in my opinion. But no, I don't think that it can be solved in a generation. It's going to be those in the generation that have the proclivity to change their own personal behavior and seek those that do that and see if it grows. Now, it may grow, but the generations is going to keep being born. It's going to be other generations born within that generation. And so the influence, in my opinion, would probably be more so in the new generation that comes along once you establish a code of behavior. That would influence the generation that comes on next, because a lot of times, a lot of things are just, people just ain't giving up certain things that they like to do, even though it's negative. And they can find every reason in the world to keep on doing those things. So it's going to take a level of consciousness being taught or shown or by example to those that are coming in. You see what I'm saying? That are coming in rather than trying to, beat it on the heads of those who already been practicing it for a while. Those have to consciously make the change. But I think in the youth, our children, is where we have more influence. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's basically what
I don't want to give the impression that I'm talking about solving all the problems of our community in one generation. Mm-hmm. That's not what I mean. Okay. What I mean is the basic dysfunction. All right, let me just pull one out as an example.
Okay.
This is the talking point. Black folks don't know how to work together, right?
That's
a talking point. Okay.
Yeah, that's a talking point.
I can solve that problem in one generation.
Okay. You could solve the problem in one generation.
One generation.
That where they say that black people don't know how to work together. Obviously, they don't know that there are some black people that are working together, but
Mm-hmm. But if that's the talking point, they want to say that, and I would say, if people want to make that argument on a holistic level, I'll accept that because look at the conditions of our community. So right. I'll just say I can solve that in one generation. It's just, and I've often said this before on my show, that if you don't have any schools teaching architecture, then you can't get mad if no buildings are being built.
That is so true.
And if you want black folks to work together, then you have to teach them how to work together. It's not something that just happens by osmosis.
Right.
You have to have the system and the institution in place that teaches that. What I was proposing is, and this is what I've always envisioned, and I'm starting out at a preschool level, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of having classes of 30, 40 kids, I want a class of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think the majority of our attention should be focused on the orientation, finding out what are the personalities of these children.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at children in their natural environment playing, you can get to discover which child is more outgoing and more of a leader.
Right.
Which child is more what do they call it? I'm drawing a blank on the word. Introverted.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And more technical oriented. And what you do is you take these different personalities, you get 5 different personalities at a preschool level, and instead of just teaching them through the method of just repeating back the stuff that you gave to them, we should start having more function-oriented education where these kids can do projects with each other. You know what I'm saying? And do things, learn how to work with each other from a preschool level. Now, can you imagine if you took 5 kids at a preschool level and they were working with each other all the way up to a university level?
Mm-hmm.
Those kids are used to working as a unit.
Right. Right.
And then that problem of not working together would be solved within one generation. So my whole point in this is, if the problems are systematic or systemic problems, then the solution has to be systematic. You have to have the institutions in place to instill the values that you want your people to exhibit. If you're not doing that, you're basically just throwing little sheets of toilet paper into a pool full of shit.
Right.
You're doing a whole lot of work, but it's amounting to nothing because you're not approaching the problem the way that the problem should be approached.